Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. Welcome to Mathematics with Shahab Yaqub. In today's class, we are solving this particular question that involves trigonometry, differentiation, integration. This is from May-June 2019, the second variant, which is variant 32, and the numbering of the question is question number 10. So let's look at the graph first. What we see is that there is a graph in which the shaded region is above the x-axis, and there is a portion of the graph below the x-axis also, and there is a point M marked over there. This is 0, this is pi by 2. The diagram, let me grab the highlighter. The diagram shows the curve y is equals to sine 3x cosine x, and it's valid for these values of x between 0 and pi by 2 inclusive, and the minimum point is M. The shaded region R is bounded by the curve in the x-axis. The first part, that is by expanding sine bracket 3x plus x and sine bracket 3x minus x, show that if I multiply these two, I should be getting this. So now let's work it out. Now one thing that you need to realize is that sine of 4x is the same thing as sine of 3x plus x. And similarly, sine of 2x is the same thing as sine of 3x minus x. So that is what you have to realize yourself. Now, first of all, let me write over here on the sidelines sine bracket 3x plus x, which according to the addition formula, that is sine 3x cosine x and cosine 3x sine x. Now it's a rule of sine that if there is a positive sign in the middle, so in the addition formula that positive sign remains. And similarly, if I have sine bracket 3x minus x, so that is equal to sine 3x cosine x minus cosine 3x sine x. Over here, which is the sign that was at the beginning, the negative sign remains. Now let me add one other thing over here. That is, this sine 3x plus x is actually what? This is sine of 4x. And sine bracket 3x minus x, that is what? That is sine of 2x. So now what am I supposed to do? Add these two and half it. Take the half of it. So now let me write sine of 4x plus sine of 2x. If I add it, then the terms with the opposite signs will cancel. So these two would cancel, and I'm simply left with this is 2 sine 3x cosine x. And let me write a half over here. Let me write a half over here. The 2 and 2 cancel, and that is sine 3x cosine x, which is exactly over here. So basically, you start with the right hand side and you prove it to the left hand side. Now, there should not be any guilty feeling over here. No one has said anything that it always has to be the left going to the right. It could be the other way around. So the hint that was given to us, that is based upon this. So look at the working, at the style of working that I have done. So let me put a note over here, and that note is break things down into small steps. It's not necessary that you do everything in one shot. So what exactly have I done? I have first focused on sine 4x, which is sine 3x plus x. Use the addition formula, I got this. Then I focused on sine 2x, which is sine 3x minus x. Use the addition formula, got this. Then I added these two up and took the half of it. Added these two up and took the half of it. Now there was no reason to show that since they have an opposite sign, they cancel out, because that was so obvious. So these two terms are exactly the same. So there are two of them, and this half, it cancels out, and we are left with this. So that's quite easily done. And also, if there is a need, so there is the formula booklet MF19, and if someone is not so good with the formulas, I know they should be very, very good. They should be well versed, but the addition formulas are over there. Now it says the second part, using the result of part 1. using the result of part 1, that is too thick. Let me thin line it. Showing all the necessary working, find the exact area of the region for 4 marks. And by the way, this was for 3 marks. This one is for 4 marks. Now, what is the equation of the curve? The equation of the curve is sine 3x cosine x, sine 3x cosine x. Now, what is that equal to? This thing. So, therefore, integral of sine 3x cosine x, put dx over here. The limits are unknown. That is the same thing as half. And over here, I'll write what? That is sine 4x plus sine 2x. Sine 4x plus sine 2x. That is the first thing that needs to be done. Now, let me put another sticky note over here so that I know exactly what needs to be done. The first thing that needs to be done is that what is the integral of sine bracket ax plus b? The integral of sine has a negative sign, that is negative 1 over a cosine ax plus b. Again, we should remember this. It's given in the formula booklet, but without the coefficient of x. Yani a is not given, it's only given as sine x. But that does not make sense because you need to know exactly what is gonna happen with the a. In integration, the rule is of division. In differentiation, the rule is that of multiplication. Just remember that. Now, what else needs to be done? What about the limits? Yes, the limits need to be calculated, and I have a lot of space over here. So let me use the other sticky note over here. And if I am interested in the limits, so for limits, I know one of the limit is 0. The other limit is when the graph cuts x-axis. So this is the other limit. That's right over here. When the graph cuts the x-axis, y coordinate is 0, sine 3x cosine x equals to 0. So therefore, y equals to 0, sine 3x cosine x equals to 0. In other words, sine 3x equals to 0. In other words, cosine x equals to 0. Now, sine 3x is equals to 0, 3 cycles in 360. So let me grab a straight edge over here. And let me just draw a small simple graph. And let me draw a small simple graph also over here. So now if I draw the graph of sine 3x, that is 3 cycles in 360. So therefore, 1 cycle in how much? 1 cycle in 120 degrees, which is 2 pi by 3. If this is 2 pi by 3, therefore this is pi by 3. That is one value that is over here. The second thing, cosine x, 1 cycle in 360. So this is 1 cycle in 360. This is 2 pi. This is pi, and this is pi by 2. Now, the first value for which y is 0, this is pi by 3. The first value for which y is 0 is pi by 2. Which is the correct one? We already see pi by 2 over here. So definitely this is not the answer. Therefore, the correct answer is pi by 3. Let me write it properly. So pi by 3 is the value that we will take. So the lower limit is 0. The upper limit is pi by 3. So let's go ahead and integrate it between 0 and pi by 3. So all this thing you need to do, because that is what integration is all about. It's a lot of knowledge to be used at the right place at the right time. So therefore we have half an integral of sine 4x. First of all, there is a negative, that is 1/4 cosine 4x. And this is negative half sine becomes a cos, and that is something that we tend to make mistake. So be very, very careful. And then the limits are 0 and pi by 3. So what I can do is that I can take the negative common out. So this is negative half. This is 1/4 cosine 4x, and this is half cosine 2x, and the limits are 0 and pi by 3. Now we know this rule that if I remove this negative sign, the signs of the limits will flip. So let me remove it. So I've just removed this thing, and this is equals to half. That is equals to half, and this is bracket 1/4 cosine 4x plus half cosine 2x, and 0 goes up, pi by 3 goes down. All good, all clear? Now let's plug in the upper limit. So first of all, let me write this half on the outside. Let me draw a big curly bracket. Let me use a green marker over here, and then let me put a negative sign over here, another bracket using this purple color. So therefore the other bracket and then the big bracket. So basically what I'm going to do is that I'm going to plug the upper limit over here. I'm going to plug the lower limit over here. The minus sign is there. There is the big curly bracket. This half is there on the outside. So now let me work it out. Half cosine 4x, that is 1/4 of cosine of 0. And I'm using the green marker. Hold for a second. So this is 1/4 cosine of 0, and this is half cosine of 0. Similarly over here, 1/4 cosine of 4 pi by 3. Cosine of 4 pi by 3, and this is half cosine 2 pi by 3. Now a little bit more working is there, and let me use another sticky note over here. And now this time it's about this thing, that cosine of 0 is 1. It's not 0, it's 1. Secondly, a cosine of 4 pi by 3. That is basically a cosine of pi by 3. Why? Because 4 pi by 3, that is 4 pi by 3, 4/3. Can I write this thing as 1 whole 1/3? No, it's not pi by 3. Let me just erase this thing. So this is 1 pi plus 1/3. So that means if I go this way, this is 1 pi and this is 1/3 over here. And of course you can use a calculator. So therefore this is in the third quadrant. Cosine will be negative. So cosine of pi by 3 with a negative sign. So therefore this is negative half. Similarly, cosine of 2 pi by 3. Cosine of 2 pi by 3 is in the second quadrant. That is also negative, which is negative half. So let me plug in the values. So first of all, cosine of 0 is 1. Cosine of 0 is 1. Cosine of 4 pi by 3 is negative half. Cosine of 2 pi by 3 is negative half. And don't forget there is a minus on the outside. So this half is there, and this is 1/4 plus 1 over 2 minus this is 1/4 into negative half. So that is negative 1. Let me take the negative common out. So this is half like this. I have used this negative, this negative, this negative. I have taken it common out and changed the negative into a positive. All good. And this is 1/4 and this is half. Okay. All good. All clear. So therefore, if I look at it closely, 1/4 plus half is 3/4. This is 3/4. This is 3/4 plus half 3/4. So this is half. This is 3/4 plus half 3/4. And a lot of fractions in life. And this is 3 over 2 into 3/4 into half. Okay. Now let's simplify. So this 2 and 2, no, it's not cancelling out. So this is 2 and 2 is 4. 4 and 2 is 4 and 4 is 16. And this is 9 over 16. That is the answer. Just go ahead, have a good look at it. And this is much more worth than 4 marks. A lot of things happened over here. Think about it all again. First of all, let me recap using the result of part 1. What is the result of part 1? That is sine 3x cosine x is half sine 4x plus sine x. That means integration of this is the same thing as integration of this. That's the first thing. The second thing was about the limits. Graph cuts x-axis, y is equals to 0. This is what you get. Which value do you choose? The one that is smaller. Why smaller? Because pi by 2 was already present over there. So definitely m is not pi by 2. Sorry, not m. This x-intercept is not pi by 2. M is going to come very, very soon. The third thing, that is the limits are done. The integration is done according to this rule. Then this minus is taken common out. The minus is removed. The inequality flips. Then plug in the upper limit, plug in the lower limit. Now these were the values that you need to be calculated. You can use a calculator, you can use common sense, that's up to you. And the rest is just simplification, high level of simplification of O-level everyday maths, arithmetic, numbers, that thing is there. And this answer is 9 by 16. So 9 by 16, that is the answer for this thing. Now let's look at the third part. What is the third part? In the third part, it says, using the result of part 1, express dy by dx in terms of cosine 2x and find the x coordinate of m, giving your answer correct to 2 decimal places. Okay. Now we have y, and over here, this original equation equals to this. That is the result of part 1. So sine 3x cosine x, let me write over here. First of all, let me grab a black marker. Y is equals to sine 3x cosine x. Isn't that the same thing as half bracket sine 4x plus sine 2x? That is the first conversion. That is the result of part 1. Now, what exactly are they saying? They are saying write it, differentiate, and the derivative should be in terms of cosine 2x. So therefore, dy by dx half remains as it is. Derivative of sine is cosine 4x, and this is 2 sine 2x. Sine becomes cos. Again, I'm just writing it with a small mistake. So this is 2 cosine 2x. Now, what needs to be done? Now we have to write everything in cos 2x. Now comes another thing, one of your favorite, that is the double angle formula. We know that cosine of 2a, that can be written as 2 cosine square a minus 1. That means cosine of 4a can be written as 2 cosine square 2a minus 1. Basically, 2a gives a, 4a gives 2a. Why? Because this is double angle formula. So let's just convert this thing. So this is half on the outside. This is 4. Cosine 4x is 2 cosine square 2x minus 1. And this is 2 cosine 2x. Now let's simplify. So when we simplify this half, let it remain on the outside. And this is 4 into 2, that is 8. Actually, let me just take 2 common out. Isn't that a better deal? So this half is there. Out of this 4, out of this 2, let's take 2 common out. So I've taken 2 common out. And then I am left with 2 into 2 cosine square x minus 1. And this is plus cosine 2x. So this half and 2 cancels out. And this is 4 cosine square x minus 2 plus cosine 2x. This is 4 cosine square x plus cosine 2x minus 2. This is dy by dx. Now we are interested in m, that is a stationary point. That is a minimum point in this case. So therefore dy by dx equals to 0, stationary point, turning point, vertex. Therefore 4 cos square x plus cosine 2x minus 2 equals to 0. I think I missed out the 2 by accident. So let me just correct myself. This is 2x, this is 2x, 2x and 2x, and let me write it. So this is 2x, 2x, 2x. It's everything is in terms of a single variable 2x. Now when we have this, let me just remove this thing. So that is all good, and let me just bracket it. Okay, that's good. And let me draw a line in the middle, and that is why you should always start from the very, very left. So now we have this thing. Let's make a substitution. Let m equals to cosine 2x. Therefore, m square is cosine square 2x. So this is 4m square plus m minus 2 equals to 0. So therefore, a is 4, b is 1, c is negative 2. Let me first evaluate b square minus 4ac for simplicity. That is 1 square minus 4 into 4 into negative 2. So 4 into 4 is 16, 16 into 2 is 32, becomes positive, that comes out to be 33. Therefore, m is equals to minus b plus minus square root b square minus 4ac, the whole thing over 2a. Therefore, this is minus 1 plus minus square root of 33 divided by 2 times a, 2 times 4. So now I have two options. The first one is m equals to minus 1 minus root 33 over 8. And over here, m is equals to minus 1 plus root 33 over 8. So now, after we have found the two values of m, let's also convert it into decimals. And this one, the first one, the negative one, that's coming out to be 0.8431, correct to 4 significant figures. And the other one is coming out to be positive 0.5931. Now, wait a minute. What exactly is m? M is cosine 2x. So cosine 2x is negative 0.8431. Cosine 2x is equals to positive 0.5931. Now the question is, how do we proceed further? So let me write over here. Cosine 2x is equals to negative 0.8431. And cosine 2x is equals to positive 0.5931. Now, if you remember the sketch, let me just draw part of it. And in that sketch, there is a line. And some part of the graph was above the x-axis. The other part of the graph was below the x-axis. And I'm just labeling the relevant detail. This value is pi by 2. This value is pi by 3. And somewhere over here is the minimum point. All good? So now let me first write down the value of pi by 3 in decimals. That is 3.142 divided by 3. That is 1.047. And similarly, pi by 2, that is 3.142 divided by 2, which comes out to be 1.571. Now, this value over here, 1.047, is this thing. And this value over here, 1.571, is this thing. In other words, the value of the x coordinate should lie between the two, because you have to make an informed decision. Now we know that it could be anywhere between 0 and pi by 2. And now we know specifically it should be between pi by 3 and pi by 2. So let me just solve the trig equation. That is the range of values of x. The second thing, that is about the quadrants. When cosine is negative, we are dealing with the second and the third quadrant. When cosine is positive, we are dealing with the first and the fourth quadrant. But now over here, let me make this more prominent. Now over here, since the range is between these two values, that is between 0 and pi by 2, so therefore, we are only interested in the second quadrant and we are only interested in the first quadrant. All good, all clear? So now let me do the calculation. Let alpha be the basic angle. Let me write it in the middle. Let alpha be the basic angle. That is the acute angle with the x-axis. So let me calculate alpha for both. So cosine of alpha, that comes out to be positive 0.8431. We always calculate it with a positive ratio. And alpha is cosine inverse of 0.8431. That comes out to be 0.5678. Naturally, we know that we have to work in 4 significant figures and the unit is radians. Over here, cosine alpha is 0.5931. Therefore, alpha is cosine inverse of 0.5931. Therefore, alpha comes out to be 9359, 0.9359. Again, correct to 4 significant figures and the radians is the unit. So we are working in radians. Make sure the calculator is in the radian mode. Make sure you work in 4SF so that final answer should be in 3SF unless otherwise stated by the examiner. So now once you have reached this particular stage, now let me just do one more step of working. Actually, 2 more steps. That is 2x equals to, in the second quadrant, that's pi minus the basic angle 0.8431 and actually 0.5678. So I just misread it. That's the value. And this comes out to be 2.574. This is 2.574. We are solving for x. So x comes out to be 1.287. Over here, we will write 2x equals to, it's in the first quadrant, that is 0.5931. Therefore, x is half of that. That is, again, I misread this thing. So let me just highlight it because I go to the very top. This thing, 0.9359. Therefore, x is 0.46795. Again, this is for SF. Let me also write over here, this is for SF. Actually, this is more than 4SF. So that doesn't make a difference. 46795. So let me write over here 5SF. Even if it's 5, doesn't make a difference. At least it should be 4. So now over here, make x the subject. This comes out to be, that is x, and this is x, which is the correct one. X is already made the subject. Now over here, think about it. It should lie between pi by 3 and pi by 2. So 1.047, 1.571, this falls within the range. This does not fall within the range. So therefore, I should write except over here because the x coordinate of m lies between pi by 3 and pi by 2. Let me just correct this thing. Looks bad. So this is x coordinate of m lies between this thing, therefore accept, and over here it does not lie, therefore reject. So there is only one answer and one last thing, the final answer. So 1.287 will be rounded off as 1.29, correct to 3 significant figures, and the answer is in radians. So what have you learned in this particular question? It's about trigonometry, it's about addition formula, it's about double angle formula, it's about differentiation, it's about trig equation. So trig, radian, equation is also there. And it's about integration, that was a basic integration with limits because it was about area of the shaded region. So all these things were there, and just look at the time. Once the video is finished, just look at the time, how much it took for me to solve and explain a big question in totality. That is 5 marks over here. That is 4 marks over here, 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. So therefore, this one is 12 mark worth question. That means 12 into 1.5, that comes out to be 18 minutes. That is the maximum time if you do it by yourself in the exam. So by yourself in exam, that should be the time. But if you are doing it for practice, and without explaining someone, as just like I'm doing right now, so it should be 12 to 13 minutes, and that is the perfect timing for this one. So that's all from Mathematics with Shahab Yaqub. Stay tuned for more content.